This is not a drill. Rueben Hurricane Bain is finally back.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Miami's co-leader in sacks from last year hasn't played since the first defensive possession of the first game. So yeah, we're happy Rueben is going to be back. I am Alex Dono, University of Miami alumnus, co-host of Locked On ACC, and writer for Canes County on Rivals. And thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. It's not a Tuesday today, but it's a Truth Teller Monday, because after the good, the bad, and the ugly in that win against Virginia Tech, and now the news, Mario Cristobal, Bruce Warner, we got the Truth Teller Bruce Warner with us. On this episode, we're going to talk about the new Associated Press rankings. Miami didn't rise, they dropped. We'll talk about Miami's flaws against Virginia Tech, what they have to fix against Cal this weekend. But Bruce, we got the news this morning. Mario Cristobal on the Joe Rose Show Monday morning. He said it in no uncertain terms.
Yes.
Rueben Hurricane Bain, Miami's co-leader in sacks from last year, he's going to be back this week, this Saturday against Cal.
Yep, that's good news, but he didn't have good news about Jalen Rivers. It's game time.
Game time decision.
I mean, what does he have? That's the thing that nobody knows. I really haven't spoken to anybody down there. All I do know is that I'm glad that we're doing it today. I couldn't have waited until tomorrow to do the Truth Teller Tuesday, because Friday night, I think I had about 8 or 9 minor heart attacks and a few little baby strokes. Didn't you? I mean, what the hell?
Bruce, I was breathing into a paper bag during the fourth quarter. It was bad.
I know we were texting each other during the game, and I don't know who was worse, him or me. But
yeah,
look, we won the game, so that really is all that matters. I was wrong about blowing them out, but I still think it's a blessing in disguise, because if you watch the post-game press conference with Mario, he was furious. He kept it in. He bottled it up, but you could see he was boiling. And I'm sure the players are boiling. And so I know they're going to have a really good week of practice. They are going to go out and they're going to stomp Cal. Look, they lost to Florida State. Did you see them against SMU the other night? Oh, are they bad? So, I think it is a blessing in disguise. Now, what I don't know is the condition of some of the defensive players who got hurt.
Yeah.
That I don't know.
Yeah.
But when you look at the lack of the poor tackling, the poor angles, the Kiki had guys that he had wrapped up and they slipped away from him. They kept
that was probably Kiko. That was probably his worst game as a Miami Hurricane.
Yes. And how many times did they turn the corner on runs? We couldn't contain them. We had no gap integrity. They were just going up and down the field. So was it lucky we won? I guess. I mean, I think it was lucky that their coach, and I saw somebody with a 2-minute podcast that was saying, something? The Virginia Tech fans could be mad about the refs all they want. And we all know that they hate Miami. But their coach blew it. They had no business going for a fake field goal with a 10-point lead within a chip shot range of this kid. Could have been 13 points, which they would have needed only a field goal at the end instead of a touchdown. So blame the coach. Don't blame the refs. Don't blame luck. Don't blame Miami. We did win the game. That's all that matters right now. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of things to correct. Scary.
Well, I brought up to what you're saying. I'm so glad you brought it up, because I was talking about this on social media yesterday on my X account, that, and you kind of compare, because Brett Pry, the Virginia Tech coach, had the type of game management errors that people usually point out for Mario Cristobal in recent years. Mm-hmm. And so, I remember, Bruce, we all remember that Georgia Tech game last year, where obviously you had a coaching error on Miami's part, but then you also had a fumble that was not a fumble, that was called a fumble, yet nobody talks about the bad referee decision from that. They only talk about not taking a knee. Then you've got this game with Brent Pry, the Virginia Tech coach, where you had, I I strongly feel that the referees got that call right about
Yes,
the
they did.
incomplete pass. People are complaining about that and they'll never stop, but I thought they got that call right.
Yeah,
But people are
but
only
Alex, had they not said anything, if they would have had a conference and said we're going to look at the replay and not said
right,
touchdown, I don't think
right.
we would have had any of this stuff. They'd say,
Exactly,
I don't know.
exactly.
That's all.
Yeah.
But they
Yeah, it
were
was the fact that
touchdown.
they took a touchdown away, which is what
Yes.
got people mad. But my point being, everyone's talking about the referee decision, and everyone, who either hates Miami, which is a lot of people, or
Yes.
people who just wanted to see the underdog win the big game on the Hail Mary. I get it. That would have been a great story if Virginia Tech had pulled it off, but they're talking about the refereeing. How about they aren't talking about the coach
Yes.
for that ridiculous, pointless fake field goal, take the points, and forgot he had timeouts to use on that final drive? Like, the reason that had to come down to a Hail Mary in the first place was he was letting the clock run that entire.
Yes. Even the announcers were going, what is he doing? What is he doing? I mean, it was almost like he was setting it up for a Hail Mary. Why would you do that?
Right.
That was silly. So, yeah,
Right.
blame it on him. You lost probably because of him.
Yeah. Well, and I noticed Virginia Tech fans they were bashing him until the Hail Mary play, and then they were just all bashing, the referees, and Miami bought the game, or as if ACC referees ever go out of their way to do Miami favors in the past.
Did Michael Irvin go out there with a big wad of cash and say, reverse this call? I don't think so. Oh, man. But we survived the game. I survived.
Yeah.
I didn't even have to check in at the hospital for any oxygen or, any of those machines they could hook me up to. But you know what? And Cam Ward was great, and then he wasn't so great. But we would not have won this game last year or within the last 20 years. That's for sure.
Right.
But I'm still concerned now about, injuries on the defense, but the offensive line, they don't look too good. They're not blowing open holes, and they're not really protecting Ward without help from the backs.
Yeah, well, we'll get into the flaws, because there's obviously things like Miami can't keep playing like that and expect to win, a lot more games. But real quick, I want to touch on something with Cam Ward. I thought, despite the fact that he turned it over 3 times, and I thought the first turnover I thought was a little questionable, but despite the fact that he turned it over 3 times in the game, he still managed to raise his Heisman stock, because he had Heisman moments. He led the comebacks. Like, he was able to pull plays out of his what in order to win.
Not
the
allowed
game
to
on
say
those
that
final
word
2
on
drives.
your show anymore. You can't say
I know.
ASS.
But you know what, Bruce? As a side note, despite how brilliant Cam Ward was, the play of the game was made by Elijah Arroyo. The way
he tackled that guy. Wasn't that the kid from Caleb Spencer?
Yeah, it was Caleb, the former Miami player who got that interception. And so Elijah Arroyo was literally the farthest Miami Hurricane away from Spencer as he was returning that interception. And somehow he went into cheetah mode and he tracked him all the way to save the touchdown. And that ended up being the drive. I think that was the same drive where Virginia Tech went for that fake field goal and they came away with nothing.
Right.
So Elijah Arroyo literally saved Miami 7 points against, and they saved the win there.
How many rounds did he move up in the draft based on the catches he made and that particular play?
Yeah.
Probably a lot. And maybe he leaves after this year, because with his injury history, if there's an offer for a high draft, he needs to get out of here. Not that I want him to leave, but yeah. Wow. But talking about Ward for a split second, he is a magician. Without him, I don't know where we would be. It's fun to watch, but it is a little nerve-wracking. And I think that they need to fix that offensive line. They need to fire out. And they got one other little thing while it's in my brain. They need to get Chris Johnson in the game a lot more with some sweeps or some screens or some whatever, because his speed is lightning. He's so dangerous out there. When he went in motion on the one play and they went the backside, and then, of course, we always have to sit there and go like this to Restrepo, because he's incredible.
What a player.
He's incredible. He's amazing, that guy. Love that guy.
Yeah, unbelievable. Well, when we come back, for a couple things I want to dive into on the whole, because Bruce brought up blessing in disguise. I want to talk a little bit more about that, with Miami really being tested, having to overcome big time adversity in this game. But we also have to talk about the things that need to be fixed before Cal, before Louisville, even before Florida State, as bad as they look right now. So, my friends, we are only getting started. You want to keep it locked right here on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. And I already know you're keeping it locked to FanDuel. And by the way, we do have an opening line for Miami at Cal, 10:30 p.m. this Saturday. Hurricanes are 12.5-point favorites. You can check that out at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. When you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook. Thank you so much for making this Truth Teller Monday episode of Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. For your next listen, make sure you check out Locked On ACC. We're going to have a show dropping this afternoon, Monday afternoon. Me and Kenton Gibbs are going to break down all of the scores and all of the events around the conference. And I kind of wonder what Kenton's going to say about that final play, whether he thought that was a catch or not with Virginia Tech. But we all know it wasn't a catch.
Tell Kenton, I don't care what he thinks.
Yeah, that's true.
I care that the refs went like this. That's all I care about.
Well, I do know, because I was chatting with Spencer McLaughlin, who hosts Locked On College Football, and he's got no love for Miami whatsoever. In fact, he's an Oregon guy, so he doesn't really have a lot of love for Cristobal, and he didn't think it was a catch. Like, I was texting with Spencer during the game, and he thought they made the right call, and that's not, he doesn't have a Miami bias like you and I obviously do. But going back, Bruce Warner, you talked about blessing in disguise, and I was listening to, you mentioned Michael Irvin, the playmaker who was on the Miami sideline.
Yes,
he was full of energy, hyping everybody up, and the playmaker, he did a couple of interviews after the game, like he was on with Don Bailey Jr. on the WQAM broadcast, and he kept saying, like, championship teams need to win games like this, right? They need to, and you think about, what happened to Ole Miss. Ole Miss lost at home to Kentucky. They were big favorites at home.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen Notre Dame lose to NIU.
Choke,
that was a choke. So Miami survived that choke. And like Michael Irvin just talked about how you need to win games like this. If you're going to be a great team, you need to pull off comebacks in adversity like this.
How about when we won the national championship in 2001, the Boston College game, which we were absolutely abysmal the entire game, and we could have lost it. And it hit the knee. What was that defender's name? It hit his knee, and he caught it.
Oh, Matt Walters.
And then Ed Reed picked it up and took it down to the house for a touchdown. But we were on the verge of losing that game in the last play or two of the game. And after that, they went out and destroyed everybody. And I think this is a wake-up call. Now, again, I can't respond to the injuries. We can't lose Simeon Barrow for a couple of weeks. There's a few other people that got hurt. A lot of players got hurt.
Yeah. And we don't know. We don't know their statuses yet, just so people know.
But a lot of Virginia Tech players were laid out too. A lot of them were laid out. So that was a brutal game. It was the game that Miami needed. I know Mario, inside his head and his heart, knows they needed that game because it was just too much hype how great they were. And now they're somewhat back to earth. And now he could yell and scream at them again and get their attention because look what just happened. And I know they watched the game the other day, and none of them were happy with what they saw, with a few exceptions. And the issue is their health. They have an extra day to get ready, and they are leaving to go to Cal a day earlier. They're not going Friday. They're going Thursday. So they have, because they gain 3 hours of time, and they'll get used to that. Because their bodies may be tired. So they're going to be there Friday, and then Saturday's game is 7:30 out there, our time, 10:30. So he knows what he's doing. I think we're going to be jacked for that game, and I'm looking forward to it. Although I'm not looking forward to staying up till 2-3 in the morning.
Bruce, I gotta do post game on WQAM, and I think that might be a 5 a.m. finish. I might have to call in sick. That's a late night.
I'll do it with you. I'll do it with you.
Want to do it with me?
Well, I did what was it? Game 4, whatever it was, when the Panthers were in the Stanley Cup in '96. Yeah. I was on QAM until 3:00 in the morning, the post game.
Wow.
Good, and I'm not even a hockey fan. I don't know what the hell I was talking about, but I remember it, and so, yeah, it's going to be late. So I could stay up late. I don't
So
What am
here's
I doing?
what do you think about this? Because obviously Miami was in a lot of ways they were not good as a team. Like there were some individual great performances and they won the game, but they were not good as a team against Virginia Tech. These to me are probably the two biggest issues. What do you think? The obvious is of course the tackling. Miami missed 21 tackles in that game. They had missed 22 total tackles in the previous 4 games. So I'm hoping that whatever that was is fixable, because that seemed like a statistical aberration, how many tackles they missed. That's number one. The other one is we still can't run the football in the first half of games. And like, I'm glad we can figure it out in the second half. But in the first half, we go to the locker room with 32 yards. And Bruce, it was obvious when Miami could not run the football in the first half of that game, that gave Virginia Tech so many opportunities to put pressure. They got a few sacks on Cam Ward in the game because we couldn't run.
Right. I don't understand it either, but a lot of comments came in the other day and a lot of comments I've seen since about us running, inside constantly. Like between the guards, not even off tackle, just just right up the middle almost. Why can't we get to the outside? Why can't they put in A.J. Allen? Why can't Johnson get in the game? Lyle, let him turn them loose. They had all those little toss plays, and they turned the quarter almost every single time. That guy Tootin was incredible.
Yeah,
why can't we do that? Why are we running up the gut all the time?
Yeah, we
it
seem
seems
to have.
like
I'm not. Tootin is a special player for sure, but we also seem to have guys who are special and have some speed.
Yeah. Why don't we take advantage of it? Look, how many times did Johnson touch the ball? Twice. One time, like an end around, and he made 15, 20 yards. And I didn't think the lineman blocked for him. They were like standing there almost. They didn't hit anybody. But yeah, I think we need to take advantage of that and get the ball quickly to the outside. We didn't really do. Did you see any of those little Mahomes type sidearm passes? I don't remember seeing any.
A couple.
Maybe
I did
one.
see a couple. There was at least one. On a 3rd down conversion in the 4th quarter, like that, when we needed, to move. I did see a couple of those sidearms from Ward.
Can't talk. Debbie called me. So, so I couldn't, I told her, I'll let her listen to the show. I can't talk. Anyway, look, I thought the turning point was when we were ready to go up 21-7. And then all of a sudden it was 14-all. I think if it was 21-7, I don't know if they would have come back. I don't know. No. Nobody knows. But when it was 14 up, that infused that team with energy, and the rest of the game was just a bare knuckles brawl. It was a brutal game. We were behind. We were behind against South Florida, 9-7, whatever it was.
Yeah, it was 9-7.
And then 14-9 or whatever the score was. That was like 5 minutes. This game, we were behind a lot. And a hell of a job by Ward. He really was the savior because the defense didn't save us. They really didn't. I think what we've seen is Isaiah Horton is spectacular. Sam Brown made some nice catches.
Isaiah Horton was the one. He had switched jerseys. He was on defense. He was the one who made the play on the ball on the Hail Mary to keep it out of bounds. So he's a real hero.
Yes, he was really good. He's very good. He has improved. Wow, has he improved? But again, and I don't want to be negative because everybody says I missed the negative. We won. I'm thrilled, but I'm not happy. There's a difference. Yeah. I'm not happy about that. I'm not happy because of what was going on. There was so many bad plays, so many mistakes, and our secondary concerns me greatly now. We don't. I don't think Brown's. He may even have to shirt this year because I don't know when he's coming back. I mean, I guess if he's back for the last 4 games, okay. But we need him. We need Rivers. We need healthy defensive linemen. And it just seemed like they had an answer for every defensive scheme that Guidry was dialing up. They had an answer for it. And that kid's not a bad passer. He threw some bad passes. Of course, he threw one in the first quarter that hit the receiver, and then Mish got it off of the deflection. Right. Yeah. But he looked pretty bad too, Mish Powell. He had some bad coverage issues in the end zone. He had bad angles on guys turning the corner. So I know that film has grabbed their attention, the coaches. And again, I'm telling you, I didn't see smoke coming out of Mario's ears, but there was smoke coming out of his ears.
Yeah, there basically was.
Yes.
No, but I like what I like what you said earlier, because if anything, the fact that Miami was able to get the victory despite so many things going wrong, coaches like this, Bruce, because they can now remind these guys, hey, did you get a little bit too much into reading your own headlines? Did you get too cocky? Did you get overconfident? Why can't so they get to teach all these lessons now and reinforce their points for a team that still got the win. So I think this could hopefully, like you said, be a blessing in disguise moving forward. Now, Miami, despite getting the W, Miami did not rise in the rankings. They fell a little bit. We will talk about that because the new AP poll came out on Sunday, but we'll also tell you why it really doesn't matter right now.
No, it doesn't matter. But if you can look at that poll and see where Florida State's ranked, because I'd like to see that. I don't know if you have a calculator that can go high enough, but whatever.
You guys want to keep it locked right here.
Wow,
we're only getting started on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. Guys, you're going to find out why the Game Time app is the only ticket app that I use, because you're getting the best deals, the best features, and the closer you get to the event, the better the deals get. They reward you for being a procrastinator, which is amazing. Guys, Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Guys, I love right on the app, you can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. Guys, you want to make sure you turn on the all-in pricing feature, because they're going to show you all the fees up front, no surprise fees at checkout. You know exactly what you're paying. Game Time also offers the lowest price guarantee. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to Miami Hurricanes games with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Oh, it's game time. Thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. By the way, if you want to take your everydayer experience to the next level, sign up to become a Locked On Canes insider. I include a link in the show description below. You guys want to click that link. You get text messages directly from my phone to yours when you're an insider, one-on-one questions and answers. I give you guys breaking news, recruiting scoops, show updates, all sorts of good stuff. You can try it free for 14 days. And then if you like it, you can opt in for $4.99 a month. We give you a lot of added value on there on the Locked On Canes Insiders chat. Bruce, you were talking about how much stress there was during that Virginia Tech game. I don't usually do this like during football season, but I took Sunday completely off. I didn't, I did write a couple messages to the insiders, just a couple, but I didn't do any shows. I didn't do much tweeting. I didn't post anything on my new TikTok channel. Like I needed a break because I did some stuff on Saturday, but I needed a break on Sunday. That one probably took. You know how like when presidents are in office, they come out 4 years later looking like they aged 20 years. I aged 20 years on Friday night.
I know. You're almost my age now.
Yeah.
That would be pretty damn bad.
Yeah.
But again, listen, I'm shocked that my neighbors didn't call the police, because I was yelling and screaming and cursing. Oh my God. Every other word had an M and an F in it. My God, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Over and over, the same nonsense. 3rd and long was like 3rd and 1 for them. Just, and you talk about people, the national pundits talking about, well, you didn't play anybody. I guess the coaches thought, well, we didn't play anybody, so these guys are 2-2. We'll blow them out. And it didn't happen. And that's Virginia Tech and Miami history. Yeah. It's also Miami and Florida State's history, although I don't think Florida State has a snowball's chance in hell to beat us. After what I watched the other night, I've never, ever remember being them slow. They look slow. SMU's receiver, Bashard Smith, was incredible in that game.
That's our former guy. He plays running back there now. He's doing really well.
And receiver. They line him in the slot. They can't even stay on the field with him. Yeah. Romello Brinson's on the team. He didn't get in the game. He was in street clothes, but still, Russell Maryland's kid he had 2 touchdown catches.
Yeah, they
But
got Jafari Harvey, Elijah Roberts. They got Jalen Knighton,
yeah,
who's injured,
I
but
didn't
they
see
got
him
a
in the
ton of
game at
our guys.
all. But
No, he
yeah, so
wasn't.
anyway, I was the Florida State thing just for a minute. They're getting ripped. This coach is getting ripped. The administration is getting ripped, and I guess they deserve it. I
They've
guess they
got more
deserve.
lawsuits than wins this year.
Yeah,
You
right.
realize that
Yeah,
they're
and
involved in 5 lawsuits with the ACC. 1 win, 5 lawsuits.
yeah, but also when we play them in a couple of weeks, doesn't make a damn bit of difference. We better show up
Yeah,
with bad intentions because anything could happen, especially a
yeah.
team like that. Anything could happen. Now they're changing their quarterback, which he's not bad. He's better than DJ, that's for sure. I mean, because he could move a little bit. He doesn't stand in the pocket and stare at receivers for 5 minutes. But let's get off of that. So we go to Cal probably Thursday, a late Saturday game, 7:30 out there. I
Mhm.
know we're favored, but I want to
12
see.
and a
It's
half
kind
points.
it's kind of hard for me to talk about. I don't know about you or any of the watchers or listeners, the viewers, what's going to happen because we don't know. I don't know how they're going to react to this. I'm assuming
Right.
they're going to react with like steam, like we used to react when we were
Well, and
really
the other
good.
thing though is Cal just had a bye week. So they had a full extra week to prepare for us.
I expect them to play differently than they did against Florida State because they were pretty horrible. They have a 6'5" quarterback, about 220, another one of those big quarterbacks that we
And
struggle
by the
against.
way, he's a South Florida kid who I
Yep.
don't think we recruited. He
Right.
went to Columbus. So
Right.
he's going to be extra motivated, Fernando Mendoza.
Right. But they don't have anywhere near the talent we have. They just don't.
No.
We just need to
No.
be locked into this game, go out there, beat them up, take names, come home, and then get ready to go to Louisville because that is going to be a war. They played
Yeah.
fairly well against Notre Dame. They just were uphill the entire game,
Yeah.
But I still think we're better than them, but we better be ready for that game because that's our title game.
Well, let's take a look at the new Associated Press rankings. You see Miami now at number 8. They fell a spot despite winning. They fall. Penn State and Oregon both rise above Miami. They move up a couple spots. Now I know a lot of Miami fans are complaining because Penn State this year, like Miami struggled to beat Virginia Tech, obviously, but Penn State this year they had to come from behind to beat Bowling Green.
Right.
And Oregon barely beat Idaho, but those
Yeah.
games were both earlier in the season. And Oregon and Penn State have both beaten a ranked team this year. Miami has not had an opportunity to do that yet. And you know what, Bruce, I don't care dropping from 7 to 8. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. In fact, I kind of like it for for one reason I like it. This is another thing you can use for motivation. Like, hey,
Right.
we won last week. They still drop us in the polls. That's one. The other thing is, Bruce, it really doesn't matter. Because if you keep winning your games and you win the ACC, you're going to get a top 4 seed regardless of where the coaches or the AP has you ranked. So I don't even care. Just keep winning.
Right. And it doesn't really matter because you got Alabama, Texas. Well, one of those teams is going to win the SEC and one won't. So
Right.
even if they're better than us, which let's assume all these teams are better than us, it doesn't matter. If we win the ACC, we're getting a bye, and that's really all that matters. And these guys, someone's going to have to beat somebody in the top 10 to get to play us. That's how it plays out. But, we can't lay any more eggs, and we need to win this game. By the way, can you believe that after Saturday night or actually Sunday morning, we're halfway through the season already? We spent months talking about this season, and we're almost halfway done. That's hard to
believe.
I
don't know what I'm going to do after that.
I know. You may have to take a 6-month cruise.
Do they do those? I'll take one of those. I'll take
it's
an
not
expedition.
Cheap.
I'm sure it's not. I'm sure. And by the way, I scrolled down all the way to the bottom, could not find Florida State or Florida. And Florida State, by the way, not even in others receiving votes. Obviously not. They're 1-4 on the year. They're dreadful. They're absolutely dreadful.
And they play Clemson this week. Good luck. Who do the
get
Gators play this? Oh, they play UCF.
UCF.
Coming off
UCF didn't look good against Colorado.
No, they did not.
Yeah.
They did not. That should be a good game then. I'm rooting for UCF, that's for sure.
Same here. Well, we appreciate everyone for taking the time. Make sure you guys are supporting the Truth Teller. Bruce Warner always does an awesome job. We did Truth Teller Tuesday on a Monday today because we couldn't wait till Tuesday. He had way too much to say. Thank you guys so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. Make sure you follow us on X at Locked on Canes or at Alex Dono. Everyone throw those U's up at home. I know you're throwing them up. And we will talk to everyone again next time on another episode of Locked on Canes, part of the awesome Locked on Podcast Network. Your team every day.